U.S.-Iran war, military stalemate, economic pressure becomes Iran's weapon. Trump squeezed by domestic crisis. Since late February 2026, joint U.S. and Israeli military strikes on Iran have failed to topple the Tehran regime or force it to comply with Washington's demands. Instead, the conflict has revealed what may be President Donald Trump's key vulnerability: the economic consequences of war. Domestic pressure intensifies. Amid rising gasoline prices, surging inflation, and declining approval ratings, political pressure on Trump is mounting, especially with the November midterm elections approaching. This conflict is no longer just about military strength, it is increasingly about the financial strain on American households. Trump is feeling economic pressure, which is the weak point in this war of choice, said Brett Brune, a former foreign policy advisor in the Obama administration. Although Iran has faced sustained airstrikes, it has responded with economic leverage rather than direct escalation. Its temporary closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil shipping route, triggered one of the worst energy shocks in the past decade. Global oil prices surged, and American consumers felt the impact almost immediately, even though the U.S. is not fully dependent on that route. Diplomacy gains momentum. On April 8th, Trump began shifting from military action toward diplomacy, driven by pressure from financial markets and parts of his political base. A 2-week ceasefire now serves as a crucial deadline. It may be extended, lead to a formal agreement, or collapse back into open conflict. Iran briefly reopened the Strait of Hormuz under a 10-day ceasefire framework mediated by the United States. Trump claimed a deal was close, but sources in Tehran indicated that significant differences remain, particularly regarding Iran's nuclear ambitions, which Iran continues to deny. Global impact and allied concerns. The crisis has prompted warnings from the International Monetary Fund about the risk of a global recession. U.S. allies in Europe and Asia are beginning to question Washington's policy consistency. Trump's decision to initiate military action without broad consultation is seen as contributing to geopolitical and economic uncertainty. The alarm bells for allies are ringing because this war highlights how unpredictably a government can act without fully considering the consequences, said Gregory Poling of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. Gulf Arab states are pushing for a quick resolution, but are also seeking security guarantees if a deal is reached. Meanwhile, countries such as Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are increasingly concerned about what they view as unpredictable U.S. policy. Trump at a crossroads: military versus economy. Trump, who returned to office promising low energy prices and controlled inflation, has proven highly sensitive to rising costs. In the past, he rolled back tariffs on China after facing economic retaliation, and now appears cautious about further escalation in order to protect domestic economic stability. However, analysts argue that Trump miscalculated. He expected a short conflict, similar to previous limited operations, but Iran instead chose an economic strategy over direct military confrontation, successfully targeting a critical U.S. vulnerability. Long-term risks remain. Even if the conflict ends soon, experts warn that the economic impact could last for months or even years. While Trump retains strong support among his core base, doubts are emerging about his ability to win back independent voters. He understands that much of the public outside his base, and even some within it, rejects this policy. Ultimately, there will be a political cost, said analyst Chuck Coughlin. The U.S.-Iran conflict is no longer just a battle of weapons, but a contest of narratives, economic resilience, and public trust. As pressure builds from markets, inflation, and politics, Trump faces a difficult choice: continue pursuing military force or acknowledge that economic power, effectively wielded by Iran, can be more damaging than missiles. Jangan lupa follow untuk update berita internasional lainnya